To talk to us about this, we are now being joined by Raymond E. Vickery, Senior Associate at the Center for Strategic and International Studies and former Assistant Secretary of Commerce. He's joining us from Washington, D.C. Welcome to the broadcast, sir.
Thanks very much for having me.
Mr. Vickery, tensions are soaring, violence is escalating. Now we are getting reports that not just Gaza, Israeli military is striking southern Lebanon as well. These are counter strikes after rockets were fired from Lebanese soil. Where do you think all this is headed?
Well, it's obviously an escalating spiral of violence. This is what happens when you don't recognize that you have to wage peace as vigorously as one would wage war. This started months ago. I'm afraid that it's tied not only to Palestinian resistance and the desperation of their situation, but it's also tied to rising authoritarianism within Israel. The UN and the U.S. have rightly asked for a de-escalation and not to take further actions, but that's not going to solve this situation unless there is a willingness to recognize that the peace has to be waged and that you just can't meet violence with violence without it erupting into general war.
Sir, talk to us about the Lebanon angle in this conflict that's now emerging. This is the largest escalation along the frontier since Israel and Hezbollah fought a war in 2006. Israel Army spokesperson has said that its Palestinian fire could be Hamas or Islamic Jihad, but not Hezbollah. Do you agree with that assessment? And if so, why do you think Lebanese soil was used for these attacks?
Well, as you know, to speak of Lebanon is a misnomer. In fact, Lebanon is divided so radically that things which are happening in southern part of Lebanon are not necessarily under the control of Lebanese government, much less either Hezbollah or the other factions which are there. I have no doubt that those who are interested from Hamas want to involve Lebanon in this, and they are trying to get as much coordination and solidarity among non-Israeli forces in the area as possible. I do not think, though, that this approach will be successful. It seems to me that the factions in Lebanon have two disparate aims in order to draw Lebanon as such into the conflict. But it does point out that if you're going to wage peace, you're going to have to do it by means other than what Israel has referred to time and time again as cutting the grass. And that is of going out with violence in order to be able to strike back at groups. That just won't work in the long run. And in my view, the Netanyahu government needs to understand that it's going to have to do something other than just say it's my way or the highway. We've seen this with the Netanyahu government trying to change the judicial system within Israel. We've seen it in terms of just trying to use force internally to solve these problems. Hopefully, people will cool off and step back and start to wage peace as vigorously as the parties seem to be in waging war.
Sir, you spoke about waging peace. I want to probe you a little bit further on that. You know, Benjamin Netanyahu has said that Israel's response tonight and in the future will exact a heavy price. Now, Hamas has asked all Palestinian groups to unite. So this is not looking like as if peace is being waged. UN interim force in Lebanon, however, has claimed that Lebanon and Israel said that they do not want a war. So how do you think that the situation can de-escalate? What is the path to that peace, and who can bring about that peace?
Well, first of all, there has to be a willingness to do so. And the old eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth revenge approach is not going to work. There were peace processes in train in past years under other governments. And what is going to happen is that the Netanyahu government is going to have to reevaluate its situation and not just rely on force. That will entail involving the United Nations. It will entail involving other Arab countries in the area. It will involve more closely coordinating with the United States. I believe that all democracies have a stake in peace. That includes India as well as the U.S., but it's going to take that kind of willingness to be able to get that started. But admittedly, at this point, that's a very bleak prospect. Hopefully, this will not go immediately. We're glad that there are voices in Lebanon saying they don't want generalized war, and perhaps there will be somewhat of a stand down. But those opportunities must be taken advantage of, and you just cannot continue upon the path that Netanyahu set out on.
Willingness to ensure peace is important. Thanks, Raymond Vickery, for joining us with your perspective on this story.
Thank you. My privilege.